All right, so without further ado, once again, I would let everybody know, mic's off.
Okay.
Introduction, Miss Linda Hao. Please introduce yourself and your numbers from last year.
Okay. Hi, everybody. First of all, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be here and just giving me this opportunity to just share this space with you guys. I am Linda Hao. I'm with KW Corona, and last year in 2020, I did 30 units, closing GCI at $420,000. Thank you.
Awesome. So you have been a solo agent for how many years?
For 3 years now, and licensed for 4 years.
So 3-year solo agent, and last year you closed 30 units and 420 GCI.
Awesome.
And on your own?
Yes.
No team?
No team. Not yet. Working on it.
You guys?
Yes.
Right? Awesome. So a little bit on, yeah, we get one ready. Just your background, a bit about your childhood. How did Linda Hao get here? What made you you?
How did I get here? Okay, I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, Echo Park specifically. My parents were refugees from Cambodia. I have 4 siblings, so there's 5 of us. We lived in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath our entire life. My mom was a homemaker. She stayed home taking care of us. My dad was a waiter, working all the time, so he wasn't always around. He's never been to a single graduation of mine, anything like that. So I just knew, I think growing up, I've always wanted more. I appreciate my dad, of course, love him to death, but I think I would, I'm starting a family myself. I'm expecting.
She's expecting!
Yeah, thank you.
She's expecting.
So I want to be able to have that time with my family as well. So I'm trying to build that foundation for my family. I went a very traditional route growing up. I went to college, got a degree, tried to get a job after, but I worked in retail, restaurant, and then I found myself meeting someone in real estate, and that's how I got here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, you know, you talk a lot about the struggles. We were joking earlier. So what type of mindset do you think that put you in growing up like that?
I think that growing up like that, like I never had my own bed. I always slept on the floor, sharing a bathroom. I think just wanting more, like always wanting more, wanting to provide for a family. I want to give back to my parents too. Like one of my lifelong dreams is to be able to buy a house for my family, to put my parents in. Actually just bought a house this year. Eventually would like to put my parents in there when they're ready to move out to Corona. They're still in Echo Park. They are very set in their ways. So, so I was telling Jay earlier that one of my whys is to be able to have sushi Friday nights and like, you know, enjoy like the good things of life, the simple things, but the good things, like I like now quality over quantity, or I'm sorry, yeah, quality over quantity. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
You said that even now you refuse to ever have a 1-bath?
Yeah, no more. I will never do a 1-bath. Like I always 2-bathroom minimum. 2-bathroom minimum. Yeah. Like I'm sure some of you guys have been there. Mm-hmm. You know, I have 4 siblings. There was 7 of us in a house. You know, 1 bathroom, so sharing a bathroom is really hard.
So absolutely. So you said a little bit about how you first got into real estate. So where exactly were you working at the time?
I was working at Cabazon, the outlets, and across from me there was another store, and there was a sales associate. I don't know if you guys know Ricardo Rodriguez, but
he's a big agent with KW. Now he's at Premier Properties.
Yes. So he is the catalyst to me like looking into real estate, and you know, I was like, oh, if he could do it, I could do it too. So yeah, so then that's when I like started to pursue it. I asked him questions. What did I need to do? What classes do I need to take? And then he was the one that introduced me to KW. Awesome. Life changing. KW is life changing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when you was this after you got your degree that you went to Cabazon?
Yes.
So also just at Cabazon?
So I was like job hopping right after I graduated. I went from working as a hostess in a restaurant in downtown LA, then I went to Bloomingdale's, and then I went to Then I went to Cabazon, and then I went to like a small like cubicle office job, and that's where I actually studied for my real estate license.
Oh wow!
Like behind the cubicle, and then
yeah, absolutely. So when you finally came to KW, how did you make the transition? How did you get started officially?
Let's see. So when Ricardo introduced me to an agent at the KW Corona office, would then be my mentor for 11 months. I interviewed with him. My intentions were to be part-time, like I would stay at my office job and then I would do real estate on the weekends, but yeah, you can't really, you can't do that. But when I interviewed with this agent, my mentor, for the first year, he asked me a question that really stood out to me, and he said, why did you join real estate if you're only gonna do part-time? Like, if you're going to pursue real estate, you should put 100% into it. And that's when I decided to leave my job, put in my 2 weeks, and do it full-time. And that was in 2017.
Wow. Okay, so that's when you fully like jumped into it. And so when you're on this person's team now, where did your first deals come from?
So that agent, my mentor at the time, told me that I had to go through my entire phone book and I had to call everybody that was on my phone book. I told him no a few times, but he kept urging me to do it. And then finally I just said yes, just to appease him, but I didn't do it. I just texted everybody on my phone.
Millennial mindset, we text, huh?
Yeah. So I think I got really lucky with that, because one of the first people that I text was an A on my phone book, Alex, and he was a co-worker from my last job. And I just texted him asking him if him and his wife are still looking to buy. I just got licensed and if he needs help. And sure enough, he replied back saying that, yeah, he's interested. And I set up my first consultation. I had a lender there to really kind of lead the way. And then,
because you didn't know what you were doing yet.
No, I had no idea what I was doing. No, so I let the lender take care of it, and the lender was partnered with my team at the time. So I trusted that he would take care of me.
So that first deal, did you babysit it?
Oh yes, I did. I very much babysat it. I wanted to focus on closing the first deal first before lead genning, just so that I can have more of that confidence. Because once you close a deal, you have more confidence in talking to newer clients. So it took me about 3 months to close them. I showed them about 20 houses. They were overwhelmed. They also didn't get a couple of their offers accepted, so they were disappointed. So they did pull out of the market. So I was devastated. I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? Like, this was my first deal. I was kind of banking on it. But then 2 weeks later, they walked into an open house, and then they called me and said that they found their dream house, and we got it. Yeah, but there goes that. And then my first listing, I got door knocking.
Wow.
Door knocking, and then the buyer that I got for that listing was from an open house I did before I listed it. So I got to double end that listing.
Oh wow, so your first listing was double ended. That's incredible. Yeah. During that time, you said that you kind of babysat that deal. Do you wish you would have looked out for other businesses just in case? She got lucky, right?
Yeah.
She got lucky that they came back.
I feel like everything happens for a reason. I'm glad I did, because I still give that advice to newer agents now, like when you're just starting off, to really just close your first deal. I think a lot of other agents would disagree with that, right? Like, always lead gen, like fill the pipeline. But for me, I feel like you'll get that confidence once you close that first deal. So
this is still like while you're on the team concept, right? So how did that transition happen from team to solo?
Team to solo. So this was about 11 months into the team, and I think at that point I was feeling like I wasn't getting the value that I needed. So I decided to leave the team, and then that team ended up leaving the office anyway. So it kind of worked out. But again, after that, in hindsight, I was very grateful to that team. Like, I've learned a lot. I had my first listing appointment on that team. Like, I did a cold calling every day with the team. We did script practice. Like everything I learned was starting there.
Yeah. Was it like was it factors in the office that changed your mindset, that opened your mindset? Was it certain conversations? How was your mindset at the time? Because you're a buyer's agent at the time, almost strictly?
I didn't call myself a buyer's agent or a listing agent. I think I was a floating agent. I didn't want like a title. And I remember my mentor too saying like, oh, you should be a buyer's agent first. But I was like, like I'm door knocking, like I don't want to just be a buyer's agent. So, and I had a couple conversations with people outside of the team, like just with like what value should be provided when you're on a team. So I think that was a big influence to me as well. It's like, oh, okay, well, I don't think I'm getting that value. So I think it's time for me to kind of venture out on my own. But after I left the team, every single year after that, I've always been in some sort of like mentoring or coaching program. So I've always had like a support. Like I was in PC coaching the year after, and then I am now MAPS coaching client.
Awesome.
And I'm on my second year now.
Is it scary to kind of jump onto your own? Did you look into the office? Any like influences that you had to like stay with KW? Like why KW if the other team that trained you left?
I mean, I've had a lot of influences, like Sophia being one of them. Every single time I run into her into the office, she would always give me like little nuggets here and there that I really take in. Like the other day you told me, you know, buy property and invest and pay off property. Like I took your advice.
So tell us about that.
So I just got my first investment property. I closed this month on it. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm gonna take this opportunity because you said you purchased a home not too long ago, right? So in 2015?
Oh, 2015. So me and my husband, boyfriend at the time, bought a house in 2015, and we actually had the opportunity to pay it off this year. Wow. And we have it rented out right now. So the goal is, you know, with starting a family is like ways of other sources of income, and passive income is like the goal, especially now when I have something coming.
So how has your business taken off, or what was kind of the turning point for you? Because you've done a little bit of cold calling, prospecting on the team. How did you find your niche, and what is it?
Let's see. Well, from the beginning, I think when I started real estate, I assumed that I could rely on friends and family. And, you know, when you get into the business, you're like, yeah, I know people that need to buy or sell, like, you know. But once I got in, I experienced a really close friend that did not use me for her transaction. So I felt a little bit burned. I forgive her. I'm over it now. But I had to take that, I had to take responsibility for that and not rely on those sources until I can prove myself. So I have done open houses every weekend since the pandemic. I mean, I stopped because of the pandemic, but I've done open houses every weekend. I did cold calling, I did do door knocking, and that was my way to get my foot in the door, have these strangers trust me to help them buy or sell. And in turn, when the pandemic hit, a lot of my friends and family saw what I was doing, trusted me, and 50% of my business last year was all like sphere of influence. So it took a couple years, but I did what I had to do to get their trust, and now I focus on my sphere of influence.
That's incredible. So the prospecting, you'd say for you, is it more like organic? Do you pay for leads? So where's that coming from? So what's your lead source?
I don't pay for leads. It's all through social media. It's just through my sphere of influence. So I'm always posting like when I'm out there, when I'm showing a house, when I'm at an inspection, when I'm at an appraisal. Sometimes I repost it because I don't have things to post anymore, but it really helps because your sphere sees what you're doing. And then either they need a buyer sell, or they know someone that needs to buy or sell. So you want to just be on top of mind. So a lot of it is very, very organic. I'm very low budget when it comes to like my marketing expenses. Yeah, like my photo on my business card is a selfie from my phone.
Oh really? That's a good photo.
Yeah. It's a selfie from my phone. Yeah,
that's a good quality photo.
Like I tried to do everything that was like a free source in the beginning, like open houses, cold calling, door knocking. All that didn't cost me any money, so I tried to do that first until I made money. Then I can pour back into the business.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good. And you said that you don't pay for leads. Did you at any point pay for leads?
I want to say my second year I did sign up with Zillow with my lender and for 6 months, and I really did it because I wanted to focus on the farm. It was hard to convert some of those leads, so I didn't see it worth it in the end, so that's why I canceled it. But yeah.
So everything's been organic, open houses. So social media has been a game changer for you during COVID.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Awesome. So that's impressive. 30 units on your own. So super incredible. How was your relationship with money in the beginning, and how is it now? As far as like with real estate and what we talked about.
My relationship with money now is I'm not too afraid of spending it like before I used to be, because I didn't have a lot of it and I didn't grow up with a lot of it. So anything that I made in real estate, I like held on to. Like I'm like, oh, I don't want to spend it. I didn't even want to put back into my marketing. So I have like outside forces that are like, if you want to grow, you're going to need to spend. And now I see spending the money as a return on investment. So make sure that you're spending wisely.
Like who's your number one A clients?
I work with a lot of Hispanic clients actually. Even like Spanish speaking ones, so I always have to I'd have to bring a translator with me. But yeah, like I would say it's a good mix.
That's incredible. Yeah. How do you maintain those referrals?
I could be better. I think that's where my struggle is, because I haven't really 100% transitioned to Command yet. So I was working well with eEdge, but that was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of systems in place, but I'm working on that. That is one thing I'm working on. I'm actually speaking with a virtual assistant, and hopefully, getting them in before the baby comes, so that everything is streamlined before then.
That's incredible, because we have a baby coming on board. To maintain the referrals, you said not doing much, but you said that 50% of your business was that. So you had to be doing something to get 50% of referrals during a pandemic when everything was online and clickable. So my question to you is that certain touches you did, were just calling them?
I think anytime someone would reach out to me on Instagram, and mainly it was from Instagram. I don't really post on Facebook. I'm not a very techie person, so I like to just put everything into one thing, and that's Instagram. So whenever someone would reach out to me, I would always try to schedule that buyer consultation or listing consultation like right away, because that was a mistake that I did in the beginning, where I didn't do that, and I would lose deals, or I would lose buyers because I didn't set up expectations up front. But now I do that, and I do that with, even if it's a friend, even if it's a family member, always have that consultation set up.
So going back, you said like the beginning, you had to look to strangers. Do you think if you had nailed your buyer's presentation to the degree you have now, the business would have been different back then?
Absolutely, 100%.
So to those newer agents, or even the agents that are successful now without doing that, do you recommend that they completely crush it at doing that, even with friends and family?
Like I don't usually have a BRE signed, but I have like a friendlier VIP agreement that I drafted, and it's not as intimidating as the BRE. That's intimidating, like having to explain that to like, hey, you have to sign this, and but the one I have set up like just outlines what I'm gonna do for them, and then what expectations I have from them. So like getting pre-approved is expected before looking at homes. When you want to see a property, you call me. When we write an offer, we're writing an offer through me, so that all the expectations are laid out in front.
How do you treat your time now as opposed to you did back then? Because now even you telling me that you don't blind show anymore, that's already a good, wall to set up for yourself and standard.
Right. Like I won't show a buyer a home without a pre-approval letter. Even if they say they're pre-approved, and they don't send it to me, I won't show it to them. Like, I need to see your pre-approval letter, I need to see your proof of funds. Time is very valuable, and a lot of people like to waste time.
That's good. A lot of people do like to waste time.
And we don't have time for that. We're realtors, we're busy. We have to send peds now.
Yeah. You know, in the beginning, did you do some blind showings?
I did a ton. And I think that's where I learned to not. And I feel like as realtors in the beginning, we are like desperate for our first deal, or, you know, for closings. So we'll do anything. And I did a lot of that in the beginning.
Yeah. Don't be door openers, right? Like essentially let people become door openers to people, and it's important no matter like what even if it's your only buyer, you still got to set that standard for yourself, right?
Right.
So
that's important.
Something you've told me. So set your standards. With that, what does your day look like? Do you follow a strict schedule? Not really, right?
I feel like right now I don't, because some days I like have morning sickness and
yeah, because she's pregnant. Guys.
Yeah. So my days are like mixed. I have like, you know, sometimes I'm like on my back the entire day, and then there are days where I'm like back-to-back appointments. But I think I have a calendar, and I write like all the important things that I need to do for the day, and a lot of it is mainly just follow up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do have a calendar.
I do. I have a planner. I don't put anything in my phone, which is weird. But I started that because of when the pandemic hit, because I'm always at home now. So I always have something like in front of me, and I'm writing and checking it off as I'm going.
I'm gonna ask you one more time. No team. Are you sure?
Team. I only have a TC that I work with for each transaction, but no team.
And what's the importance of having a proper TC that has your back? Like, what's the importance of having a good TC?
Oh my God, it's so important. Like, my TC does so much for me. So, things that I don't like to do, I don't like to, you know, like I said, I'm not very techy, and I don't like to be on DocuSign, and my TC is actually licensed. She doesn't like to be out in the field, and she doesn't like to do sales. So she likes that like paperwork back end stuff. So she enjoys it, and she's like a huge, I say I don't have a team, but she is definitely my team. She's my team.
That's good. So having the right support is what has helped you be so successful. Because you essentially are solo, you know. So what's next for you, and what's your goal for this year?
Leverage. Figuring out how to leverage my time. And then my goal for this year is 550 in GCI with 39 units closed is the goal.
Which you're gonna easily do. You did 420 last
year.
So you said leverage. Would you say, what's your biggest struggle right now currently?
I think leverage is 100% the biggest struggle. Yeah.
Is it finding the right leverage, or trusting and hiring? Is it financial, or what is it for you?
I think it's all of that. Like, all of that, because I've never had a company before. I've never hired, so having to pay someone is like nerve-wracking, and you know, someone is relying on you on a salary, and then what if I'm like that feeling of what if I can't make it this month, and how am I going to pay you? Or so that's one. And then trusting as well, because I have a certain communication I would like with my clients, and I would want that same communication, and you don't know, you know. So I think it's just like opening it up and trusting. And
so you have to be very hands-in with your own stuff.
Yes.
So you learn how to kind of like, that's the biggest struggle. So GCI 550, that's incredible. An incredible goal. Like, even I'm looking at that like, wow, I need to think bigger myself.
And you know, I've never imagined that for myself in my entire life. Like, before real estate, you know, I was making less than 40K a year. So I've never in a million years would expect myself, like, to see that potential in myself. But it's because of KW, you know, it's because the values that KW holds, and, you know, it allows you to think bigger. It allows you to grow a business that you love, live a life you love, you know, a life by design. So I wouldn't have been able to see that without KW.
With KW, what do we always ask? What is your big why?
My big why, 100% family, always. Always.
2 bathrooms, as they say.
2 bathrooms, yes, exactly. 2 bathrooms, sushi Friday night. Financial freedom, like, you know, who doesn't want that? Yeah. Working when you want to. So yeah, I think my family is my number one driver. My husband works really hard too, and when I come home on the weekends, sometimes after like a long day of showing, I take so much joy when I get to see him relax. Like I come home and he's like watching TV and I'm like, wow, like, you know, one day I want you to be able to do that every day.
That's incredible. I'm really like so proud of you. Like, since when I first met you, you had treated me with nothing but kindness too. Touching a little bit more on that big why, you know, a lot of people I asked haven't found it. Do you think it took you a while to really figure it out as well?
Yes, and I think it changes every year too. It changes, it evolves. But I think it's so important because it's going to be your reminder every day of like why you wake up, why you get out of bed, why you need to make those calls, why you need to do that open house, why you need to go door knocking. It gives you that positive mindset of why you're doing it. So yeah, I mean, I think always reevaluating what your why is perfectly normal.
Yeah. So it's okay for it to change.
Yeah, definitely.
Or feel like your why is not big enough, right? And adjust it.
Yep.
I think that's super important to know. It's okay for it to change. And obviously, you're about to have a little tiny why that's gonna be a big why. Right?
Oh, it's gonna be the biggest why.
The biggest why.
The biggest why of them all.
Yeah. So that's super exciting. And I guess I would say, what is any words of advice that you have for agents that are watching this video or here in our live audience?
Going back to your why, like really just, you know, always looking to what your why is to remind you like why you're doing what you're doing. Keep a positive mindset. I think that's very important. Always being grateful and for any little thing, like just be grateful. Another advice would be teaming up with great vendors in the industry like lenders, escrow, title, transaction coordinator, because they're really gonna help you. They're gonna help you succeed and propel in your business. Come from contribution, like really like want to be that force to help others. I truly believe now being in real estate, that real estate is a way to build wealth, generational wealth, and if I'm gonna be selling real estate, I have to believe that.
Wow.
And so really truly believing and being a stand for like what you do and being able to share that with your clients.
So you said something that really touched me right now is being in real estate, you have to believe that real estate can build wealth for yourself. Right? So that's huge. Because even, I'm sure a lot of people can agree, but for myself, I never thought like so big. Whoever my mom may be, it's still hard for you sometimes to visualize those things for yourself, you know? Sometimes you are surrounded by incredible people, but I think it's important that what you just said is that you can have and build that wealth and to believe it yourself. So that touched bases with me, and I'm sure it's touching everybody that, you know, the clients are looking at you and how can you practice? She's practicing what she preaches. She just paid off her home that she just bought in 2015 with what she did last year, and just purchased another investment home this month. Incredible. And she's young. I'm not gonna say her age, but she's close to my age. Killing it, all right?
She's killing it. I'm older than her.
No, you're killing it. So what are some, you know, I'm gonna end this, what are some things you would do differently? I feel like always open yourself up to learning and taking advice from people like Sophia, always, that have been there. They're telling you for a reason, they're at the top for a reason. And just being coachable. Being coachable is for sure, that just came to my mind right now. Wow, that's a good one.
Being coachable, because I remember being on the team, I was like partially coachable, and that's why I left. That's why I left the team early. And then I realized later, like I needed that mentorship, and I still need that mentorship, and that's why I have a coach. And I'm always going to have a coach. That will always be like in my budget and in the business.
As a priority.
As a priority. Number one, like I don't do like everything goes to my coaching. Like I don't pay for anything else. I don't have any marketing expenses. Coaching is like my biggest expense.
You said that's just completely shifted and guiding you to where you're at now.
Yes.
To do 550 GCI.
Yes.
This year.
That's
incredible. I just want to take a moment to thank you for coming in and just having this conversation with me. And I guess I will leave it open for you guys now to ask some questions if you guys have any out there.
So yeah, I was going to ask you about MAPS coaching, Linda. And I just want to say that since I met you as a new agent, you were intentional about coming and introducing yourself to me. And I remember vividly, you're like, "Hi, Sophia. I look up to you as a woman leader in this industry. What do I need to do? Like, how do I need to do it?" And then every time I called deals and meals, you were always there. And you always came with certain questions. You know, and you're very intentional about like, how do you do that? What do you do that? Can I look at your package? What do you say? Like you went up to all the top producers to do that. And you were on a mission to succeed. And I know how scared you were even mailing stats. That's 35 cents, I don't get that. You know? so how did you go from that to, I say that what took me, if you guys, those of you that sat with me, what took me from 134 to like 400,000, also like 380 1 year was MAPS coach. Right? Hire a coach. And that was because your limiting beliefs, your scarcity mindset of your broke upbringing came up to me, and I'm like, I can't pay $1,000 a month. Like, this would pay my parents half their mortgage. Like, so there's this fear of doing that. And everybody that doesn't, it's a catch-22. If you don't get a coach, you will not go to another level.
Exactly.
And if you want to go to another level, you want unless you have a coach. But you cannot afford a coach unless you get a coach.
Right.
Like you're in the catch-22. So my advice to agents is that if you get $3,000, that's 3 months, and by then I promise you will get your money back. Right? Guaranteed. 100%.
Guaranteed.
So, how did you make that commitment of going to coaching? Because there's people in the audience right now that I know for a fact can't afford it.
And I'm not doing it yet.
Some of you.
They're not coaching yet.
Some of you, could you sell a little crypto and buy it? You know? But I'm just saying, the coach will take you to the level.
Yes.
And MAPS Coaching is the #1 coaching company for real estate in the world.
Yeah.
We're Tom Perry, for everybody. So how did that happen for you, and how did you transition?
So how it started was when I joined PC coaching with our office. So I had Dave and Chad as a coach there, and they weren't charging monthly, they were charging per transaction. So they would do, like, depending on what level you were, 5 or 10% per transaction. So it was a whole different level of coaching for me. Like, I had to track everything, I had to report everything to my coaches. They would reprimand me if I didn't do what I said I was gonna do. Like, why didn't you track your numbers? We're gonna kick you off of PC coaching. And then towards the end of it, by the end of the year, I added up what I paid for PC coaching, and I ended up paying them, I want to say, the same amount I would pay for a MAPS coaching. So that was why I transitioned to MAPS coaching, because I was like, let me try higher level coaching if I could be saving money this way. And in actuality, I did. I mean, I almost doubled my business with a MAPS coach.
And I think that's also like kind of a goal of PC coaching. That people don't see it yet, and it's kind of a stepping stone to see, like, wait a minute, you're already paying this person.
Agreed.
Just pay a little bit more to get to the next level.
Agreed.
Right? So it's kind of teaching you how to already be paying that for yourself.
Exactly.
Because I know a lot of people are even hesitant to go to PC coaching. Even new agents are like, well, I don't know yet. And I'm like, well, you don't know yet.
But you're not paying up front.
I was like, it's worth it to go in. So you do recommend the coaching. It's great.
Yes,
coaching. Stick with it.
Any coaching. It doesn't have to be MAPS coaching. I would say any coaching, but eventually lead yourself up to MAPS coaching.
Faith?
Hi. Has your TC always been your TC? How did you meet your TC that's also licensed? And do you pay her per transaction or on a salary, or do you share, like, part of your commission? Like, how's that?
So I actually met her in college. She's a friend of mine. So I've known her for at least 10 years now. And I pay her $350 per transaction. I don't pay her a salary. And then if it was a really rough transaction or it was canceled and then we had to go into escrow again, then I'll just pay her a bonus.
So sometimes, another thing is that we talked about it, if I'm gonna touch about it, is that you're gonna meet other licensed people and in these masterminds that maybe paperwork is their thing. Maybe you can help guide them to sit with them through some transactions, because that's probably a future transaction coordinator, right? Next to you. Some of these agents are like, oh, I don't want to go out and talk to people, but I love this paperwork stuff. I'm like, oh, you do? Well, hey.
It frees up a lot of your time. Like, I don't like doing the transaction coordination stuff. So it allows me to get more business while she's doing that, and I'm just paying her $350.
What has your maps coach taught you?
Clarity is power. Like knowing where your business is coming from and capitalizing on that. I wouldn't have known that my business was blooming from the sphere of influence had I not been tracking the way she's asked me to track. Yeah.
Wow. Clarity is power. I know exactly where your niche is, because some people can call all day, Andrew. And some people like just love talking to others, engaging the community. So I guess just finding that niche for yourself.
Exactly. So my niche, when you say my niche, is that like
your way of prospecting, like your organic. You call it. She calls it organic prospecting, by the way. And I love that term. Should I just
But I
organic?
have to pay for them.
It grows from you. No money.
I think I found it because it didn't cost me anything, and it was like through social media and just, just posting out there. I have an Instagram page that is personal and business. I didn't want to do 2 different accounts because again, I'm not techie and I don't like to be on so many different. So I just put it all in one so people could see like I'm not just all business. I'm, this is the personal side of me as well, and it's worked. So I think I figured that out last year during the pandemic, that was my niche. And then also with coaching, like seeing like it was 50% of my business last year was through social media with my sphere of influence, like not random people. It was like people that knew people. Let's see, how do I love on my people? I know when the pandemic hit last year, I dropped off like Lysol wipes and like masks. I did that.
Wow.
And I closed 2 transactions from just doing that alone from one house that I dropped off. Reaching out to my client whenever they go through like any life milestones, if they got married or engaged, have a baby. One of my clients just lost their puppy, so I sent them like some brownies, and just kind of just staying in touch with them, following up with them, because you see them on social media.
So you see them on social media. So you're super in social media with your past clients. Do you like target them specifically? Like, do you go and search them up, or just organically as they come across your feed?
I think as they come up across my feed, yeah. I'm not really like searching and then it just shows up.
Anyone has any good questions? I saw some hands up.
How do you shifted to the last year to kind of deal with pandemic, to deal with, from 2 years ago, or what you're going to do shifting into the future in the next 6 months to, I know you're shifting to be a mom, so that's going to be different.
Yeah.
Like, how are your coaches working it out with you? What is the experience?
Right now with my MAPS coach, we really are focusing on the leverage aspect because, when the time comes, I won't be able to be on the field too much. So we're focusing on that. And I think focusing also on like the internet. Since everyone's on the internet, I learned that during the pandemic, most of my leads came from the internet. I'm investing in that now, spending my money on internet exposure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you use Command?
So when EDGE transitioned to Command, I haven't fully transitioned myself. So once the VA that I am speaking with, knows Command 100%. So I will start, because when I was on EDGE, I had all these campaigns set up, automatic emails sent out, and it was really like, I was seeing results because I would have people reply back to them, even if it was just like a holiday, like Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I haven't had that since Command rolled out. So But I did see the results when I had it with E-Edge. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that once I have all that set up.
And your question, and what I'm picking up is that you genuinely are the definition of focusing on your one thing, and you're not distracted with the next shiny thing, the next shiny CRM, the next lead generation, the next source of this. It seems as if you're just honing in on what you already have and how to take it to the next level what you already have that's free social media wise and incorporating that. Is that right?
Yeah, that's 100% right.
Yeah.
So I was saying, like, how do you discipline yourself to focus at home? And I do want to reiterate too, she was always constantly in the office.
Yeah.
Like, so even like, I think because of COVID, you had to for her to stay home. So that's part of what she's asking. Like, did you have to, were you able to work from home pre-COVID?
I think 2020 was really like a blessing in disguise for me, because everything that I did 2017, 2018, 2019, like waterfalled into 2020. So I was out on the field a lot. I wasn't doing a lot of lead gen. Well, I was doing lead gen through my sphere of influence and through my social media, but I, not having to do the open houses, the script, like role play and all of that. I was just blessed with a really good year last year.
So you just weren't home at all, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I was always on the field, always showing property.
Yeah.
Like, I worked with a lot of buyers last year. I like to, I wanted to be 50-50 sellers and buyer, but buyers took up a lot of time last year.
Yeah. You did all that from home though, so how did you find that discipline? Is it a certain room you go to? Is it a mindset?
He, like, the support from the husband as well, and I have like my little space at home. He has his office at home, so like he's busy with work, so I don't get distracted by him at all. Yeah.
So you guys have to work separate?
Yes. Yeah.
So you going full to your success? Is you going, first of all, the first step you did is going full force because you were trying to do dual career. Secondly, you did learn a lot from that team, but you jumping into being yourself was great. MAPS coaching, 100%.
Any coaching mentorship.
Coaching mentorship, and kind of getting to, like Sophia said, that next. Everybody does say like time blocking is a thing, but you did share your secret. Something that is different is she shared her true why. The whole upbringing that she had. We all have our own stories. And that's like the purpose of this video. That the secret is already in you. And Linda and I had the most deep conversation, and thank you so much for even bringing it up again, is that you brought up your why. You don't want to go back to the 6 people in a 1-bedroom apartment. You want to buy your parents a home. Or 7 people in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment.
What are the steps you take, even if they're not pre-approved yet or ready? What do you do, and how do you like remind yourself to, since you don't use a man, how do you remind yourself to go back and talk to them again? Like, what do you do with your clients?
So I will have that first initial conversation with them on the phone, and then once I feel like they're ready, like they want to buy within the next 3 or 6 months, then I'll set up a Zoom or another consultation over the phone with all buyers that are involved. So if it's husband and wife or mom and daughter, like everybody has to be on that call so that we're all on the same page. And then after that's done, I will set them up on a call with my lender so that they get pre-approved, and then we'll start the home buying process. If they're looking later out, then I'll put it in my calendar to like in my planner, call them or text them, reach out to them on this date.
Thank you everybody that came. Thank you for your questions.